Hello everyone, today we had a new season of Marvel Snap start, and with that comes two brand new cards, one being the Series 5 release for today in Surge. Surge is a 2-cost, 2-power, on reveal, give the top card of your deck -1 cost and +1 power. After you play it, repeat this ability. So you can chain this onto each follow-up card on the top of your deck if things line up just perfectly. It's a card that has a lot more value early, kind of like a Fastos. If you draw it late, very, very below average. If you draw it on curve, can offer some really cool, unique ways to get extra power onto the board. We also had Esme release as the Season Pass card. I'm not 100% locked in on a deck for her yet. I'm still brewing. Surge was the one I wanted to play around with the most, and the one that I was the most excited about because it has some pretty cool flexibility options. Now, it doesn't work in bounce like you would think. You're not able to like hit a Kitty Pryde, play that Kitty Pryde, it comes back in, you play it again. Once you play that surged card, that surge moves on to the next one. So once it comes back in, it's not going to continue to surge for you, if that makes sense. And also with Surge, since it is a card that has more value early, it's one that I have a hard time building entirely all around. So I don't want to go with a lower average cost deck that couldn't win otherwise, solely relying on drawing Surge early. Surge, when drawn early, can give you some really cool, crazy play lines. But what about those games where Surge is in the bottom half of your deck? You draw it on turn 4, 5, or 6, and you just don't have enough time to really get a lot going with her. What do you do on those games? And that's why today I threw her into a deck that is already operating very well. You don't have to have Surge to run this deck. You can take out Surge and put in US Agent. Runs phenomenally still. The big thing about this deck is that it can face off against the kind of meta monsters that we have right now. So Scream decks, if they get Scream and have their disruption pieces, it's kind of difficult. You can still win, but it is an uphill battle. We have the flexibility in fighting off Clutter, which is kind of a sneaky sleeper pick right now. And the biggest one is Thanos. There's two versions of Thanos that are just plaguing the ladder and the game right now. One is the ongoing, one is the tech-heavy Mockingbird Shang-Chi version. And this deck can handle both of them. So with the Negasonic, we can get some pretty good value. Negasonic into Fenris, reviving a well-timed destruction of like a Thanos or a Mockingbird can be fantastic. We have Killmonger to take care of some of their stones, whether that stops Strange Supreme from having those created cards as food to buff him up, or you just use it to take away some of their power, especially in the ongoing version, where their Ant-Man is no longer on the board, where their buffed up Soul Stone is gone, their Power Stone, they lose a lot of that power, and then all of a sudden you can swing lanes that you otherwise wouldn't be able to reach. We have Captain Carter, which is just phenomenal. She's not a game breaker, she's not going to win a lane solo, but she makes it very difficult for the opponent to win that unless they have a counterpiece to her placement. And so with Captain Carter, I wanted to run Sam Wilson just to give us that flexibility of maneuvering at least that one shield card around so that we can more easily position Captain Carter into that back row when we need to. We have Surge in the deck, which whenever it hits a 3-cost card, we would typically, if we played Surge on 2, we would typically play the Surged card on maybe 4 if we had a Surged 3-cost plus a 2-cost card, or on turn 5 we can play 2 3-cost cards, one having the 1-cost reduction from Surge so that we can get an extra 3-cost on the board, giving us more ways to have priority, more ways to set up our tech cards to find ways to win. Overall, I've been loving this deck. I used this deck minus the Surge at the end of last season to hit top 150, and I probably could have pushed a little bit further, but 150 is usually a good stopping point for me. I usually shoot for top 500, so I was way above that range, and a lot of it was off the back of this Surfer deck that is very tech heavy. Surge could be cut for another 2-cost. My 2-cost of choice would be US Agent, but sometimes if you have that on curve, it's a little bit difficult to play and position it where you'll get good value from it. So a lot of times I like the US Agent more so on turn 5 alongside another 3-drop. I think Surge is going to be one of those cards that Kind of like a Rocket and Groot, where it doesn't necessarily break the game or break a deck by itself, but it offers that kind of sneaky, consistent amount of value and power that allows her to be a really good in-slot card. We're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple games. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. Hope you guys enjoy. Seeing enough. Wait, and then because Surge is Red Guardian, this loses the ability per se, so the next time we use it, it's not going to bring it back out, which is really, really interesting. We have priority. Negasonic is fine. They go Mind Stone. I want to save Negasonic for a bit, though. I almost want to Carter left, but that feels like a big gamble. Hoping that they Reality Stone this turn. Maybe I just Carter into Nova Roma. And then hope that we top deck Sam Wilson here. We'll see. Big Mockingbird. Oh man, Negasonic to the right would have been beautiful. But we didn't quite make that happen. We do still have priority because we're winning the left. So like a big Fenris. But we don't need Negasonic to the right is the problem. I'm gonna do this for now. I don't think they're gonna drop anything major. We lose priority, don't we? As long as they have Reality Stone. Yeah, Reality Stone, we probably lose priority. Sanctum Sanctorum, super interesting. And then they have the Thanos coming down to the left. Wow. Okay, we win. An unfortunate. No, they have priority. Shoot. I'm going to go Galacta plus Surfer. This becomes 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 extra here. It is what it is. If they have an Alioth, then they just stomp on us. All right, so the Alioth mid, super unfortunate, and then Space Stone to the right. And so we don't get the Galacta bonus onto the Surfer, which is bad, but does it matter? It does not matter. We are still able to tie up the right lane because of the Surge. From Surge, the extra little added bonus gave us a little bit of a bump. If this was US Agent, then it would have been a bit different. Mockingbird would have been lower, so we still probably would have held it down. But we will gladly take the 4. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have MSL Chamo. The first location is Triskelion. We end up getting Uncle Ben, which, I mean, we could go ahead and play. It's not the end of the world, but I'm going to hold it just because we can still draw because Makari is going to jump out of our hand. And so this turn we may play good old Uncle Benjamin. I'm going to go Uncle Ben to the left. And then next turn is probably a Gladiator into a Galacta into Captain Carter is what we're looking for. So Craven, unfortunately, that's very helpful for him. Now we have Death's Domain. We could change it with the Triskelion Scarlet Witch, which is nice to see, but we'll have to see. Also, Mockingbird is not awful here. We also have Legion if we want to lean fully into the obscurity of Death's Domain. And so maybe on like the last turn, we use that as a way to get them to just lose everything that they play. The free Sabertooth is nice. They won't be able to draw still though. So that's 2 draws that they've missed out on, I believe. Kind of want a Galacta to the left. I'm going to Galacta into mid, though. And we'll see what we need to do from here. go Silk. Silk is a bit scary because it will bounce around. It can bounce into Craven Lane, buff him up. Even after the Legion, it can bounce around. So we'll have to see. And so we do have Killmonger now. Do we ever want to drop Killmonger that spawns the Spider-Man? I don't know that we do. Other than the fact that we'd be able to get a Scarlet Witch, do the Killmonger, it would move out, and so we'd still have space in the left. Kind of like the idea of like a Mockingbird, Scarlet Witch. We're looking to push Silk away. If at all possible. Priority is going to be great with Makari, so it's very, I think it'll be very difficult for them to steal priority from us. They almost did it though with the Silk play. All right, so it's just Legion and lock in, right? All right, so they drop 3 cards, all of them in the left. Galacta gone, unfortunate. Well, Miles gone, unfortunate. Sabretooth also gone, super unfortunate. And Silk doesn't bounce around because their lanes were full whenever we played in Death's Domain, so they keep that one. We'll take the other 2 and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Shuri Enjoyer. One of the higher ranked players. Chamo is also super high ranked each season. And so let's see what we're able to do. Kamar-Taj, pretty decent for like a late game Surfer play. Let's go Fenris left. And then I think I'm gonna throw Gladiator into Kamar-Taj. If we get Surge into Kamar-Taj could be pretty interesting to see. And then their Kate Bishop, we have Killmonger somewhere, primed and ready. So I almost want to snap against Shuri Enjoyer here, but I am enjoying letting these games play out. And we're climbing fast enough that, oh my god, what a bad pull from our Gladiator. Great for them, because then Surge is gone. That's not really like the bread and butter of their deck. We take away the Surge though, right? Because Gladiator pulled that second card. I don't know. Let's go... What was the Copycat? Copycat was Galacta, which is huge for them. With our Revive, we can get Hope Summers right now, which is pretty good. We can go Revive, we go Sam Wilson, we go Surge into mid, we get the double discount. We can move the shield out so that we still have space to play in this left lane next turn. And then I think what I want to do is Captain Carter into Orcus Forge next turn. I think that'll be like the biggest bang for our buck here. And then we get the big discount on whatever card we draw next. Dream Dimension does make it a little bit tricky, but we'll see. Oh my goodness, Acid Arrow has nowhere to go. We do have a Killmonger, so if it wouldn't be the end of the world had it hit. But it is nice that we were able to dodge it. 1 cost Killmonger, it's 2 this turn because of the Dream Dimension. Let's do... I mean, Killmonger only helps them out. But the good thing is it gives our card another couple of bumps. So I think I'm going to go Killmonger mid. Like it's a wash in the left lane for him. Let's go with this. They do have the Angela, so drawing a Juggernaut would be pretty good. Let's see what we're able to find going into the final turn of this game. Another double Surge here. They get the big Gwyn pull, which is going to double trigger, of course, massive amounts of potential power that they have now, which is pretty scary. The 4 power Brood. I think it'd be pretty brood of us to not just brood in the right lane and then throw a big Surfer mid. That's going to be our our shot, our attempt, our hope. We'll see. Captain Carter in the right lane is going to be huge. Yeah, they give up on the Carter lane, which makes sense. And then the double Surfer, hopefully it's enough to help carry us. Somehow. We get an extra 4 into mid, which is good. I kind of wish we would have went, I don't know, maybe Brood somewhere else. The second Galacta is massive. They go ahead and win left. The 11 power Kitty Pryde forces a tie. Oh my gosh. Had they had anything else left, they had that one locked in place. But we tie it because of the tie. The 14 power Broodlings, the 6 power Carter on the right is able to give us the win. Surge goes absolutely crazy on Kamar-Taj. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Gabriel Crawler. Right now we start with Sam Wilson. They do have a Thanos deck, so Killmonger is looking poised, primed, and ready to roll. We don't have our Surge unless we top deck it here. We get Fenris, which is another good drop for us. I'm going to go Sam into mid. I think we want to compete pretty heavily for Baxter building. And so we can do that with like the Sam Wilson. We can do Gladiator. Maybe sneak in a sneaky Negasonic as long as we have priority early. Be able to do a lot of good things with it. So the snap is probably, yeah, Strange Supreme. Okay. So depending on which version of Thanos this is, if this is the Mockingbird version, they're going to have a hard time getting their Mockingbird down, which is fine. Just them having so much reach in mid is very, very scary here. I don't know if we can compete with it. Even if we go like super big, like we may need to just abandon and go somewhere else, but I don't like the idea of that. So Soulstone, they have a card hidden in the right lane, which is a 1-cost of some kind. Their Sam Wilson is gone, which they didn't need it anyways. We keep priority here, at least for the moment. I think we try to position and get a Thanos destroy with Negasonic. So I'm going to go Killmonger this turn. Just to take away some of their fodder. And to take away the Soul Stone to make sure that if we do hit Thanos, he dies. That's going to be our biggest one here. We move the shield over to the left. The Killmonger play gives us the extra draw, which is going to be nice. But... let's see. So right now, Killmonger, unless that left lane is a stone, Strange isn't going to scale here. Nice. So Cassandra Nova hits 4, not huge by any means. We have priority, so I think Negasonic, the left, we'll go ahead and go Shield. We go Fenris. That allows us to do a Juggernaut Surfer on the last turn. So we drew Surge last turn, but this late in the game, she doesn't have as much value, and I think that's going to be most decks in general. She's not going to have as much value if you draw her after the fact, or turn 5 is super late, because then you only have one chance to get anything going for her. And so we're going to opt to go Fenris instead. I'm really hoping that we snipe the Thanos out of mid, because then that's game over for Gabriel. Because then we have the revive with Fenris. No, we get an Enchantress, though. Not great. Still not great. Because they can still go pretty big. We get an extra 4 in mid, so 22. I mean, we could Juggernaut the right, but at this point, I don't think it does anything for us. I think we just Brood, Surfer, Fenris, and Hope. We have a Hope and a Prayer. That Strange Supreme is kind of kept at bay. And the big Thanos in mid, yeah, it flips it. And as long as Strange is able to absorb something, then they beat our Surfer play. Yeah, it absorbs the Reality Stone right, or the Mind Stone. So it is going to scale, but we outscale them left and right, which is crazy that they would stay on it. And so it's an 8-point swing, taking from ours and giving to theirs in both left and right. But we're still able to grab the 4 cubes. We'll take it. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Leroy TMD. The first location is Nor Dimension, so probably going to play Surge there on 2 just to get a Jhin into our hand. And then depending on what we draw, turn 3 will kind of vary. Might just be like a Sam Wilson, maybe like a Sam Wilson Fenris if that gets hit with Surge. We could potentially do one of our 3 costs. Maybe we just look to set up like a Gladiator or a Negasonic. We have a few options here. Ooh, so Nova in the left. Could be a full-on destroy, could be a Surfer looking to drop their own Killmonger. We will see. All right, let's go Surge. And then Jotunheim is kind of tricky with wanting to drop some Jhins. All right, so they have Surge as their second drop, a Nova Surge. Interested to see what they have. So World Forge, wow, okay. Is it gonna take out Jotunheim? All right, and we do get the Fenris. So the 1-cost Fenris, very nice to see here. I like the idea of like a Sam Wilson, maybe a Sam Wilson Fenris action. Or we go ahead and go Fenris left. We go ahead and get one more Jhin. Makari's going to jump out of our hand anyways. We can do Galacta plus a Jhin next turn. We won't have much space for a Brood line, but we could still salvage. And so the Sam Wilson here, they go Captain Carter into mid. If we draw our Captain Carter, as long as Makari doesn't drop mid, it's fine, but it does so. We get our own Captain Carter, which is beautiful to see. I'm still going to go Galacta here. I'm going to go Galacta left. And what we're looking to do next turn is probably Carter, Killmonger, Jhin, maybe. That way we'd be able to do 3 cost cards on the final turn. And so Big Sarah coming down on their end, which is pretty scary, because then they could have 2 buffs onto the Carter. We may just have to give up on that altogether. Let's go Carter. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Killmonger. We move the shield over. We go Jhin. Jhin is going to be our assumed loss lane. But by playing 1 Jhin, we can play Juggernaut, Gladiator, plus ideally Surfer. Negasonic may not be awful either. I think we're in an okay spot. It just really depends on, I guess, when they flood their stuff and what they flood. So popping the Nova early, that way it can't buff the entirety of their board. And then we are currently losing mid. Ooh, big Gwynpool. And then Jhin left, that's fine. Jhin mid, okay. A lot of energy coming in, Jesus. They have as much energy as they could ever want. Surfer here would top-notch be a roll-winning one. Ooh, actually, Negasonic may be that roll for us. They only have 1 space in mid. When they go Surfer, it's going to buff this up by 4 extra power, so they go up to 18. This goes to 13, 14, 15, 16. They're going to win this lane regardless. Shoot. As long as they have Surfer, then they're in the money. This is what we're going to try. Hopefully the Negasonic lands us a key target in the left. Juggernaut, as I assumed, probably wouldn't win us much in the right. The Gladiator comes down. Let's see what we pull. Brood. Okay, it didn't have any space, thankfully. And then Juggernaut doesn't have any space to push because they had a gazillion energy. Sebastian Shaw with the Negasonic snipe is massive. Had they reversed that order, they just weren't anticipating the Negasonic. We snipe out the gigantic Sebastian Shaw, and that should be enough for us to win this game. We win the left by 2, just ever so slightly. We will gladly take it. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Jarvis. Clip that. Hopefully we can get a clip for him here. The first location, Nova Roma, we get an extra draw. Still no Surge. Thunderbolt Tower, unfortunate. We do find Surge off the follow-up draw. Let's go ahead and drop that over the Sam Wilson. We may throw Sam Wilson down earlier than we normally would just to move the shield, but we'll see. The Ravona, a little bit scary because that, to me, indicates a negative deck most of the time. Let's do... I'm going to do a Gladiator to the right. We have a big Negasonic follow-up, and so finding a Fenris would be pretty good. And so next turn, I'm thinking we look at like a Sam Wilson Negasonic play. We pull out Jubilee, ooh, scary, into Ant-Man, okay. Not the worst thing in the world. But with Jubilee and Ant-Man, I'm thinking this is a Living Tribunal deck, more so than anything else. And so Killmonger may help us snipe this Ant-Man and give us some pretty good value. Let's go Negasonic left. I'm going to go Sam Wilson right. Honestly, I'm going to snap it. I am a little bit afraid of dropping Negasonic this early because we'll potentially hit a low priority target for him. But I also want to get the Surge, not the Surge. I want to get Surge's bonus pushed over. And we end up forcing a 1-cube retreat. Not a super interesting game, but we do get some value from Surge, allowing us to Sam Wilson, Negasonic, and just curve out a little bit more power, which that's all that we need in this deck. This deck is really good tech-wise. Just having that little bit of extra power can sometimes be that tipping point of finding ways to win those games. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Dino Math. The first location is Starbrand Crater. We're going up against another Thanos. Thanos is all over the place. So if you are running a deck and you're on maybe the higher end towards Infinite, if your deck cannot handle Thanos, both versions, the ongoing and the counter heavy that runs Mockingbird, Shang-Chi, it's not going to be super successful. And so right now that is one of, if not the most flexible, not quite the strongest. It's very strong, has a good power output. It's one of the best decks in the game. So if you can't match up against that, you're going to be in some trouble. And so that's why we have Killmonger, we have Negasonic, we have the Juggernaut, we have all of our tech options to be able to deal with it. And so they hit a Juggernaut, our Juggernaut, in the right lane with their Copycat. Unfortunate, but it's fine. We're going to have the extra energy for one turn. Our cards are going to shift over to the right, which is also, for the most part, fine. Let's go Galacta left. Since we will have the one extra space here, we just want to kind of front load this. And then we're looking for Captain Carter. We're looking for our Broods. We're looking for those high impact follow-up plays. They do have the discounted Iron Patriot card. They have the extra energy from Wiccan. Very scary stuff indeed. If we can find Brood, then we can get the over 10 power in the left lane, which would be nice. Makari also helps us try to get there just a touch. Captain Carter, love to see it. They have the Time Stone, so they could pretty easily play Thanos this turn or this time around. I think it becomes Captain Carter, Cap Shield. We know that we're not going to find a Juggernaut. That's at the bottom of our deck, so we're much more likely to find Brood, Fenris, Surge, none of them are all that great on this final turn. We're probably going to rely on what we have in maybe Negasonic Surfer. Now, they go pretty big in the left lane, unfortunately. Let's see what they tossed over there. Big Thanos. Ah, man, if we had placed Negasonic, oh, we would be smiling so big. But we do have priority going into this final turn. They have one space, so Negasonic just wins this left lane for us. This is a 3 power play over here. My hesitation is that we may not win in the Bifrost because they have the discounted Iron Patriot card. They have the extra energy from Wiccan. It's kind of dicey, kind of quick, but I know that we can win left. It just comes down to if we can hold down mid. We're going to push 3, 4, 5 more power there. They've already dropped their Thanos. I think we have a good chance. I'm not going to snap this one because I am enjoying seeing these games play out. Let's go ahead and go for it. The Negasonic can just win you those games. If you can kind of manage your priority and anticipate, there's a lot of anticipation that goes into a Negasonic play. If you can anticipate where it's needed, then you can get a lot of value. The Enchantress, however, since we didn't have Juggernaut, is not able to hold it down. I thought for a second that it was going to be able to stop us because Captain Carter's buff would go away, but it is not quite able to do that. We will grab the 2 cubes. That is where we're going to go ahead and end the video. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.